recent training and back issues that I've been having, and basically discussing all that. I figured it's easier to make a video and talk about it rather than just writing out a slew of training log posts and things of that nature. So I'm not even going to bother putting up a YouTube video of my training from like week 6. It's just, there really wasn't anything all that exciting, to be honest. I mean, I had tweaked my back already at that point, and my squat training went alright on that Saturday. But then that Tuesday trying to pull, it was just and then the rest of the week kind of just fizzled out from there. And then week 7, I decided, I wasn't going to do any more squats or deadlifts at that point. This is, mind you, leading up to New Year's Eve kind of stuff, and I just basically used that week as a deload. And then this week, I'm basically coming back to training. Lower body work is kind of on the mend and how I feel, so I'm still pushing my upper body stuff pretty hard because I don't have any pain with that. So I thought I'd at least talk about what happened and what I'm kind of figuring out. And the whole shindig, because I was pretty blunt about it in my training logs, and even probably in my YouTube video for week 5, it was probably hard to kind of say what happened. So in week 5, I nicked one of the plates with the camber bar, and that kind of rotated me under load. And then I had what we believe is like my body just had a natural subluxation with that, and that caused pain, and that caused my QL to kick up, and then some usual flare-ups from inflammation and nerve damage and things like that. So we think that's what really initially started things. Up until that point, my back was feeling really good, the best it's felt in a long time. But it was only after that I started to have issues. So I went to the chiropractor that whole week, a couple times. The adjustments definitely helped. Like I was pretty misaligned. And then that following week, tried squatting again, and this is week 6. It was all right. I just kept things to 10s and listened to my body, and it was all right. And then I went to deadlift on that Tuesday, and I began to feel a twinge, and it felt like it was going to sublux again, and I'm guessing that it did. It just didn't really get a whole lot of audible like it did underneath the squat. Got adjusted in Indy by one of my other chiropractors I go see when I work there, and he adjusted me and did some cupping and soft tissue work. That helped. Felt good on Wednesday. Trained hard on Wednesday, and something happened on Wednesday. I don't know what it was. It was like a regular daily activity that just flared it up. And so Thursday, I couldn't even tie my shoes, couldn't put my socks on, had a hard time getting pants on. So I knew that at that point that I just needed to call it quits. So at that point, I basically checked in with my coach Cliff at the time for the bodybuilding stuff, and just told him, hey, I need to get healthy. This is not a good thing. If I can't train 100%, I'm not doing the best to represent him as a coach or represent myself as an athlete. And so I basically just kind of nixed that and said I'll come back when I feel much better. I'm ready to do this. So I'm still hoping to do a bodybuilding show here in 2017, but until then we don't know. And so from there I basically decided I'm gonna it was basically the beginning of the year, and that I was gonna just take the whole first month of January and not squat or deadlift with the bar at all. So I figured getting that compression off my spine would be the first best step that I could do. Then make sure that I'm doing my PRI breathing drills anywhere from 3 to 4 times a week. So initially started doing them every day, but that is what it is. It's much better now. And I kept going to see my chiropractor in Indy, getting some soft tissue work done, and we've made leaps and bounds progress from that point. Based upon this recording, it's been I think 3 weeks since I tweaked it. 2 weeks since the major time where I decided I was going to basically call it, and it's definitely much better. I can do everything I want to do. I mean, it's not like I can't tie my shoes or anything. It's not as bad as it probably makes it out that I'm sounding to be. But I mean, when it happened, I mean the first couple of days, it was just excruciating. So I mean, I just felt that I need to be smart about this and think long term, not only about my health but about my career in any kind of strength sport whatsoever, whether that's bodybuilding or powerlifting. That it would just be best to take this first month really down. Still going to be benching and training my body really hard. I'm not going to let that fall off. I figure if I'm not going to be squatting and deadlifting, I might as well try to make some bench progress while I'm at it. And I've got recently assessed by one of the guys that I work at in Indy with. He ran me through like a PRI assessment to look at how I'm breathing and how my my diaphragm, obliques, and TVA, and how all that is corresponding with my low back. And just kind of like what Danny said to an extent, is that my left oblique is not firing properly. So I'm trying to do everything on my left side with my left lat. So anytime I want to try to stabilize my left side, I'm trying to hunker down with my left lat and not letting my obliques do their job. But basically, I can't get my obliques to do their job. So my lat is doing it for them. And that, again, causes some rotation. It's not optimal, it's not strong, and it's not good. It's also why that left QL is generally tighter, because it's also having to pick up some work that the oblique is not. However, my right QL is pretty nicked up as well from the squatting incident. It's still tight and pretty tonic. It's not really wanting to relax. It's got my right glutes pretty tight, so it's actually harder for me to cross my right leg than my left, and that's never been the case. So we're doing some soft tissue work, in my glute piriformis area, try to get that to relax, and then get my QL to relax as well. Different breathing drills that are making me look like I'm a little girl. But we're hoping that if I can get some expansion on that side to get the QL relaxed and teach this left oblique how to fire properly in the right position, while still being able to get my abs to brace. I have a good control under that. I'm all good there. But also prevent some of the shifting that I was kind of having under maximal loads. You can kind of see it with my 567 squat from Worlds. You can kind of see I got a little shifty, and that was probably a bit of it. The PRI stuff I was doing with Danny was helping, so I need to keep on top of that as well. So basically, I've got a slew of rehab things that I gotta do. Keep the load off my spine, do some breathing drills, not only for my obliques, but to get my QLs to relax, keep my low back in a happy spot. We don't want it to flare up. My anterior pelvic tilt is actually probably the best it's ever been. They said, I still have some, but it's really not that bad given my sporting endeavors. So that's something that I'm going to try to stay on top of, because I do think that's helped keep me pretty pain-free. And then also just doing some regular things like cats, camels, and some bird dogs, and some dead bug holds and things like that. Some things that are going to help reinforce good trunk posture, but also good bracing and how to get everything to sync together, even though I can't be squatting. So I think that's also another important point that I have to take away is, since I can, since I'm not squatting and deadlifting, I gotta still try to keep train that, so when I jump back, it's not going to be as hard to jump back in. I don't think I'm going to lose a whole lot of ground, really. I'm still training my lower body 3 days a week, just with a lot more machines and stuff, so I'm probably going to get some good hypertrophy, and it probably will actually benefit me in the long run to actually not load that spine up. It's just going to be a matter of re-ingraining those movement patterns. So on top of just ingraining those proper movement patterns from bracing and squatting and everything, it looks like, to be smart about my training, my accessory work, when I do single leg work, I'm going to do a lot of my loading with my right arm only. So think about if I want to go to do a reverse lunge, I'm going to hold it normally, I hold like a goblet position to do the reverse lunge. Now I'm actually going to offset it to the right, and that's going to help get my left oblique to engage. And then as that's engaged, make sure I keep proper rib position and all that kind of stuff. And then most importantly, that it's pain-free. But if this is kicked in and I'm not hunkering down with that left lat, so initially they said I'm planning to start off like keep my arm out in front to make sure I'm not pulling here, but then I can actually get it down by my side as I get more used to it. But and just doing some very simple things like some farmer's walk with just my right hand loaded, so basically suitcase carries, waiter carries, even just some overhead presses as part of my warm up for like an upper body day. Just doing my right side to try to get that left oblique to fire and get everything synced together. So my plan is when February starts, I'm already goblet squatting pretty light and a little bit of offset stuff. My plan is to try to keep that under even 50 pounds for now, and just still work on good movement patterns, because it's not, there's no pain involved with that. I haven't tried really deadlifting anything, but I'm hoping when February rolls around that that's something I can do. I also think that I'm going to try, this is a big try, I'm going to try to hook grip while I build up. My hands are really small and really fat, and I feel like hook grip is going to still be a problem even with a deadlift bar. I've always had problems with it. I've tried, but I'm going to try again and just see how it feels, and if I can get it to work, that's great, but I feel like it can at least maybe prolong my back issues, or at least not prolong my career without having back issues, if I can manage to figure that out with my little hands. It's a pain, but I think I've got a good approach. What I'm going to do competitively, I don't know. My original plan was to do the Illinois State meet just half-assed like I did last year, do the drug tested side of it, and then ramp up for nationals in May, kind of just do however I could, and then really focus on the worlds in September. But with the back issues, we're kind of in a pickle, because while I can half-ass the state meet, I can't do that at nationals because I have to take top 3 placing. I think I probably would, even with a very subpar day, even with maybe taking 80% numbers. But, you know, is it worth trying to get through a training cycle just to do that so I can compete in September? That becomes the ultimate question. So basically, I'm going to have to just wait and see how I feel in February and kind of make a game time decision. My backup plan is to do bench only, and I'm even considering doing that multiply, just to mix up things in terms of training and keep me mentally engaged, because I feel like if I just did raw benching, it would get really boring, really stale, really fast, and trying to make that last from now until September. That's a long time to try to train bench only, I feel like, for me, especially if my back gets better come June, because then we've still got to hold back because there's no really reason to push my squat or deadlift if I'm going to be doing bench only, because it's only going to hinder my progress. So basically in February, I'm going to have to just make a decision on what I want to do competitively. If I want to get in the bench shirt, then I've got to start dabbing that into my training programs and just get used to those loads again, which I don't think is going to be a problem. It's just a matter of laying out the training cycle, talking to the people I need to talk to make sure that comes out right. But if not, even if I decide against that, who knows what will be next, maybe a meet in the summer. I'm just leaning towards those because I feel like it's a good time frame for me. It works out well with my schedule, the weekends that I have free. September is a long time for me to get ready to really try to push that bench shirt if that's something I want to do. Because even the national meet, again, I got to take a top 3 placing. So I feel like if I'm at 132 in a bench shirt and hitting in the 4s, I'm not going to have a hard time taking a top 3 placing. But that's my goal is not to bench 4. My goal is to bench well over 4. So we'll just have to see how it goes, I guess. But I thought I would just give a much more elaborated update about what's going on and how my training is, because I know my training log videos have been pretty hit or miss, and that's why. I even got sick during the time frame as well. It was like a 36-hour bug. So I just had a lot of stuff just compiled to where making my training videos was essentially useless because there wasn't a whole lot for me to talk about in terms of my actual training. It's more of how am I using training to mentally subside from not being able to train the way I want to train, if that makes any sense. So I'm not going to be at the Arnold this year. I've already talked about that. I'll be there, but I'm not going to be competing. So I guess the next best thing for me to say is keep an eye out, see how I'm doing. Competitive endeavors are still on the horizon. Bodybuilding is still hopefully going to happen before the year is over. as well as some kind of powerlifting meet. I'm hoping for full power, but possibly bench only, just to be smart about this to make sure my career lasts like 20, 25 years. So that's all I've got. If you have any questions or anything, let me know in the comment section. Hoping I can maybe make some videos of some of the breathing exercises that I'm doing, just to give an idea. Not that they would be something I would recommend for everybody, because these are very specific towards what my body likes to compensate and do. But if you're having a hard time getting getting an oblique to engage, or feeling a diaphragm expand the way it should under some really weird stuff, I guess it could be useful, and you can watch me look pretty ridiculous as well. That's all I've got. Thanks for checking in, and keep up with my stuff over at Elitefts.